You're listening to Misconceptions, the show where I attempt to get past people's preconceived opinions. From Irish dancing to homeschooling, we're giving everything a fair shot. When I was 5 years old, I started Irish dancing, and I did it up through my freshman year of college. For me, Irish dance was Saturday mornings reserved for classes, March being blocked out for show season, horrible headaches from wigs, funky grotesque feet, long road trips to competitions, drama over everything imaginable, and an oddball group of people who, being stuck with through all the ups and downs, become some of your best friends. Nearly everyone has some idea in their mind of what Irish dance is. They picture clogging river dance or leprechaun-like dancing.
People see, like, I'm an Irish dancer, and they're like, oh, so you're a clogger. Oh, so you're a tap dancer. Or, oh, you river dance. And the phrase, oh, you river dance is like one of my biggest pet peeves, because I'm like, no, river dance is a show where they do Irish dance in it. And they're like, I don't understand. And I'm like, river dance is not Irish dancing. It just features Irish dancers.
Some people, when they hear about Irish dance, take it into their own hands to try it out.
One thing that I find really annoying when I tell people that I do Irish dancing is they try to imitate it. They'll start to try to Irish dance. I'm like, you wouldn't do that to a football player or a baseball player. Why are you doing that to me? That's just so annoying because you're not doing it right. And it's just, I get that it looks easy, but that's the point. So I don't know. That was just always really annoying to me.
People see the costumes and think a wide range of things, from cheerleaders, pageant contestants, or strippers.
Yeah, I definitely, on St. Patrick's Day, walking around with my tights, my gym shorts on top, and my wig, people wouldn't get the best impression. They thought the things I were doing weren't related to sweet and cute Irish dancing, and to a lot worse things on the spectrum.
Most people's knowledge of Irish dance doesn't even scratch the surface for everything that it entails. So I interviewed other former dancers, Hannah Jumper from Megan Torno in St. Louis, and my sister Abby from Croy na Tira in Omaha, and asked them to describe what Irish dance was like for them.
It's kind of weird because it's a sport, but it's also an art form. It's kind of like the middle. So most people are focused on, you're really focused on getting yourself physically, able to do a bunch of these really cool tricks and, being able to have enough stamina to do them well for a long duration of time. But it's also kind of tells a story in some ways. I feel like slip jigs are really beautiful and graceful, and reels are really happy and joyful, and treble jigs are usually dark and kind of dangerous, kind of. I don't know, that's just how it feels to me.
Just because I've done it so much, I always think of the pure exhaustion I had after I came out of class. I've never been more tired in my life than after going to dance class and just being covered in sweat.
One of the biggest drawbacks of Irish dance is how expensive it is. To move up, you have to spend a lot of money, going to out-of-state competitions and getting the best costumes to help you stand out. Because of this, it really isn't attainable for the average middle-class family, especially if you want to be competitive.
I would be like, why can I get these dresses? Or why can I go to privates? And I didn't understand that there was more to it than just mom not wanting to take me. And I definitely think because all those people knew each other from school, or they would go to feshes together and they would form these really close relationships because of it. And we would go one fesh a year, and that would be mom splurging. The more money you have, the farther you can get in Irish dance a lot of the time. And that was, especially when you're young, because you just gotta go to feshes. So I think that definitely created a divide.
At my studio, about halfway through me dancing, they had to do a thing where we were we have to wear uniforms bought from the dance studio because girls were bullying other girls for not having Aviva or Lululemon or really expensive brands. So we had to start wearing shorts that we bought from the studio and shirts that we bought from the studio because girls would bully other girls if they didn't have really expensive stuff. That really shows a lot of the attitudes in some of the studios.
When I was in grade school, I often wanted to quit Irish dance. I was sick of all my friends moving up ahead of me, mainly because they got to go to more competitions than me, and just the overall nature of how competitive Irish dance was. I learned that I was not the only person who had encountered these same struggles.
Girls that were really young, dancers that are really young, dedicating their entire lives to dancing and getting in as if it was the only obligation. Usually around Oireachtas season at my studio, if you weren't going to Oireachtas, they wouldn't pay attention to you. like they wouldn't give you anything throughout the entire class. And so I got really fed up with that all the time, because it's like, I'm still paying to be here, and just because I'm not going to a rock doesn't mean that I don't have like a fest coming up in February or whatever, you know?
You would see like even your like close friends getting super competitive. Sometimes you would have to compete with your friends, and that really sucked. So there was just like the full weird awkward barrier with that.
The goal of Irish dance, like any dance form, is to make it look easy. Because of this, most people do not know how tiring it is and how much of an impact it has on your body.
But like to this day, like my hips will crack when I like stand up, or like for some reason my ankles crack too. Irish dancing does some really weird things to your body. It kind of puts a strain on your body, but it also really helps stay in shape if you don't do anything else.
My knees still hurt to this day. Like, if I can't like stand for too long, or like if I lay a certain way, my hips hurt really bad, and my knees click when I walk down the stairs. And I only did it for 6 years.
After hearing all the negatives, it seems insane why anyone would want to put so much time into Irish dance. But all the positives always seem to outweigh the negatives in the end.
I like the fact that you could just go and like, because coming from like a small town school, you knew everyone. It was nice to like go to Omaha and just dance and forget about things and like meet other people, because like some of the best people I've met were in Irish dance. And you just formed really close relationships with the people in your class over the amount of pain you were in.
Because like whenever I was little and before I danced, I always saw the dancers at the parade. And then whenever I started dancing, I would be in the parades and go to like nursing homes and like schools and cultural festivals and stuff. And like, that's just what I think of, because it was probably the most enjoyable part of it. Because competition is kind of like, oh, you either win or like you don't, and so there's always some negative associated with that. But I think that shows are usually really fun, and like you get to see old people be really happy.
So why did I stick around? Why did I overcome the favoritism, elitist, competitive world that is Irish dancing? There are 2 notable times where I nearly threw in the towel. The first was when I was around 10 years old. I was a tomboy and proud of it. Because of this, I was super embarrassed to be an Irish dancer. I was worried people would think I wasn't tough because I danced, and my biggest fear was people seeing me in my full dance getup. So I begged my mom constantly if I could quit, and she kept telling me no. Then one day she said, if I wanted to quit, just go ahead. My 10-year-old brain was not expecting this curveball, let me tell you. My mind went blank. I had what I wanted, so why wasn't I happy? Why was I disappointed? I told her, all right, I guess I quit. And she responded with, well, you'll like sleeping in on Saturdays. But when that next Saturday came along and my sisters were up at the crack of dawn to get ready, I wordlessly followed along. My mom didn't make a comment, but I knew she was smugged, which irked me beyond reason. On the way to class, my older sister said, hey, I thought you were quitting, to which my mom told her to shut up. At the end of the day, I couldn't see a life where I did an Irish dance, so I kept on trudging along, even if I wasn't 100% sure why. Also, I now know that the idea that doing Irish dance makes you weak is ludicrous, because it's one of the hardest tests of endurance there is. The next time I almost quit, I was in 6th grade, and this time I wasn't the reason we were quitting. The business my mom worked at had gone under, and there was no reasonable way for us to continue going. My older sister was absolutely devastated by the news, but my little sister and I took it in stride. We didn't like one of the teachers who were currently there, and we weren't too bummed to leave. My mom emails the head of the studio to say that we had to take a break for financial reasons, and hopefully we'd be able to come back soon. My teacher responded that she would simply not allow it. She told us not to worry about paying, and she would rip up our checks when we tried. I'll never forget how grateful my mom was, how my older sister nearly cried of happiness when my mom told her we could keep going. That was just the beginning of a very long year for my family, and Irish dance served as the main distraction of these worries. I didn't think I needed Irish dance when my mom told me we were quitting, but I can't imagine going through that year without that outlet. I've demonstrated time and time again that Irish dance is far from perfect, but not quitting was one of the best decisions I've made in my life. After sticking it out for so long, new people joined our class. Old teachers left and new ones replaced them. I grew to look forward to class days instead of dreading them. The last 5 years of dance were the most fun I ever had. I'm grateful for the memories of bar hopping on St. Patrick's Day, wasting half a class talking about nothing, random road trips for feshes, and bonding over gossip after one too many days with certain people. Some things are worth sticking around for, and even though it took a very long time for me to get there, Irish dance ended up being one of them. If you take anything away from listening to this, I want you to know that Irish dance is a world of its own. It's insanely competitive and the best workout you'll ever have. It's more common than you think, and is more than just a St. Patrick's Day show or girls with thick hair.
I wish, because a lot of people I think only see the part of Irish dancing that's like St. Patrick's Day, and that's like there for your entertainment and stuff. But I wish that people would see that it's actually like a sport that people like put a lot of like money and like time and they commit a lot to it. I wish that people would see how much it actually matters to a lot of people.
Irish dance is like an entire world to itself, and it's very complicated. But there's so much to learn and there's so much to see. And it's a lot more entertaining than you think it is, because people think Irish dance is boring, or they think it's just basically like hopping around and dancing like a leprechaun. I think it's just people don't realize how competitive it is and how intricate it is and how much time some people put into it. I just wish more people would realize that it exists.
Thanks for listening to Misconceptions. Hopefully your strong opinion on Irish dancing now has some facts to back it up. If you have an idea for something to cover or just want to say hi, follow @Watchable Media on Twitter and Instagram. And join us next time when we discuss homeschooling.